Ernest Jones this week does officially get traded. The LA Rams trade linebacker Ernest Jones along with a 2026 sixth-round pick. That is conditional. That does help, I guess. To the Tennessee Titans in return for a 2026 fifth-round pick. So not only do we not see Ernest Jones this season as a member of the Rams, I got his jersey this offseason too. I got to stop doing that, man. I got to stop doing it. Get former players only, man. What are you doing? I learn this lesson every time, man. Every time. I was so confident, though, in Ernest Jones sticking around. But either way, I got his jersey sitting in my closet now. I guess we'll hang on to that bad boy, and it'll be cool in the future. But either way, I think that like these picks now are so far out that we're probably gonna forget. We'll be like, oh yeah, that was the Ernest Jones trade, right? Like, yeah, I think like that's gonna be the situation. But this is pretty far out as far as the returns go. And well, I mean, let's just go ahead and dive into it. I think we're all asking the same question: what the heck happened here? That was exactly my question. I'm still asking this question. Okay, so one day, randomly, a person who doesn't normally break Rams news, he tells us that the Rams have given Ernest Jones permission to seek a trade. Later that day, Ernest Jones lets us know, hey, I never asked for a trade. With a shrug, hey, I didn't do that. I didn't ask for a trade. The following day, the Rams site kind of went radio silent on us for a little bit, but the following day, McVay confirms that, yeah, Ernest Jones did not ask for a trade, but we've been having conversations with other teams involving Ernest Jones for a possible trade. The very next day after that, Ernest Jones, we get the notification that the Rams and the Titans have agreed to terms on the trade and officially went through today, which is Wednesday on a date of recording, but not just traded to Tennessee, but essentially handed to Tennessee. What feels like obligatory picks just kind of added on because otherwise it's not a trade if you're just giving them Ernest Jones and not receiving anything. That's not a trade. So we had to get something back, I suppose, is a silver lining there. But either way, McVay tells us in a press conference that this was a football decision we felt was best for our football team. Another quote is, he was great for us for a few years, but we felt like this was the best for our football team, which tells us there is so much more to this story than we know. There is so much more to this story than we know. Is it ever inherently best for your football team when a guy who just broke the single season tackle record in your franchise's history and is just 24 years old, probably not in his prime? In fact, I'd argue he broke out last season, entering his prime, with the knowledge that we have as fans. Okay? Look, I love Sean, Les, Tony, Tony Pastors. I love these guys. I think we are run by some incredible people in the Rams front office. This franchise is run real well and by great guys. But there's no way that we're looking at that 2026 draft pick being like, hey, there's a guy, though, that could probably fall to this round. Let's try to get up into 5. That's not real. So this tells us it's an Ernest Jones thing. This is on the side of Jones, not draft picks. We don't care about moving a 5 or a 6 to a 5, dude. This is about Ernest Jones. Okay? That much we kind of do know. My issue with this all is now. Right now. We've already played all of our preseason games. We're trying to gear up and start talking about the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football. And now we're talking about losing a team captain, our inside linebacker. Now? Like right now. I not only just getting surprised by this information, but right now we get this information. Late August. By the way, you remember when you were down to only one captain returning from last year? Yeah, that's gone. New DC, all new captains. Good to go. You're fine, right? So now is where I'm kind of getting, my brain is having a hard time with that. Right now, what happened? What the heck happened here? Back to my original question. So when I posted this information, I had kind of passed it along on Ram Showcase on the Facebook page and all of the comments. I don't know if there was a positive comment. I think in fairness, I think there was one or two that said like addition by subtraction. Which, I mean, fine. Maybe. I mean, based on Sean McVay's comments, that's kind of what we have to evaluate off of, right? But ultimately, all of the comments were, Les Snead needs to be kicked out of the room in trade conversations. Okay, get him out of here. Why are the Rams always just getting fleeced in trades? And a lot. I will say mainly is been we shouldn't have expected more, because why would we? The Rams always get smoked in trades. So it's kind of made me want to look into the trade history since the Super Bowl loss. I feel like that's fair. Since the Super Bowl loss, when the Rams really decided to pick at their roster in a way that was a little bit different, I feel like that was a real turning point for the Rams. You lose the Super Bowl and it was like, okay, we weren't good enough. What do we got to do? And then some moves started happening. So, trade compensation, I would say the word that I would use when I'm looking at the Rams trade compensation, I would say alarming. It is alarming when it comes to the Rams front office, what they are willing to accept in a trade. Fans everywhere are noting that the Rams are regularly getting fleeced in trades, which, historically speaking, since returning to LA, is absolutely true. Let's talk examples with the most recent. Ernest Jones, a captain and a green dot, and a future 6 for a future 5. Robert Woods was traded for a 6. Brandon Cooks and a 4th for a 2. Which does seem decent, but Cooks also was traded 3 times for a first-round pick, including one from the Rams to acquire him. Ben Skoranek and a 7 for a 6. Van Jefferson and a 7 for a 6. Cam Akers for a 7 and a 6. Allen Robinson for a 7 and a 7 for a 7. Jalen Ramsey for a 3rd and Hunter Long. Kenny Young for a 6. Kenny Young and a 7 for a 6. Michael Brockers for a 7. Aqib Talib and a 5 for a 7. And Tavon Austin for a 6, in which the Rams drafted Jamil Demby. Definitely lost that trade. Retroactively speaking here, right? Because at the time, you never know. That 6 could be, your Pukas or somebody like that. You know what I mean? So either way, what we do know is that this team, though, is player friendly. Okay, so these trades all sound bad. A lot of insert player and a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick. The Rams are good in late rounds, so whatever. I'm fine with that. Especially like 5s and 6. Rams crush those picks. Maybe it's a scattershot kind of situation because we have so many 6th round picks because of all these trades. Maybe like odds are like, yeah, you're eventually going to hit on some. But this is also a very player-friendly team, like I'd mentioned. Let's give the benefit of the doubt here. Let's say the Rams make a bunch of phone calls to other teams and say, hey, this player is a guy that we're thinking about moving. What would you offer? And then you take all of that information and bring just the teams to the player, because the trade value for the player, they don't care about the trade value. So you bring those teams to the player, say, where of these teams would you like to go? And if Ernest Jones says, I'd rather go to Tennessee, do you kind of take that as like okay, and then you call Tennessee, and maybe they're just as surprised. Maybe Les is originally talking to Tennessee, and they're thinking like, I mean, we don't really want to spend money on a linebacker right now. Maybe we're doing this, whatever. So like the best I can do for you, man, is I would be willing to drop a 5 and go back to the 6. Maybe that's the best that they could do. And Ernest Jones, when he said that, maybe Tennessee gets a call and said, hey, yeah, we'll do it. And they're like, wait, for real? Like, maybe. But we also know, though, that that's not unheard of that the Rams do that. Robert Woods chose Tennessee. We know that. He told us that. He said, I feel like Tennessee is going to be the best position for me to, continue on with my career. We know that he chose Tennessee. We don't know what the other offers were or anything, but we know he chose Tennessee. Let's look at the flip side, where the Rams aren't unloading players and instead trying to add in assets. Okay, so let's take a look. Sammy Watkins and a 6 for E.J. Gaines and a 2. The Rams losing E.J. Gaines and a 2, Sammy Watkins and a 6. Rams acquired Marcus Peters and a 6 for a 2 and a 4. Aqib Talib for a 5. Brandon Cooks and a 4 for a 1 and a 6. Dante Fowler for a 3 and a 5. Jalen Ramsey for 2 1s and a 4. Austin Corbett for a 5. Marcus Peters for Kenny Young and a 5. That was when we got rid of Kenny Young instead of acquiring. That was bringing in Kenny Young, getting rid of Peters. My bad. Oh, wait. I messed up. Okay. No, my brain is right. Okay, Marcus Peters coming in for Kenny Young and a 5. Matthew Stafford coming in for Jared Goff, 2 1s and a 3. Sony Michel for a 4 and a 6. Von Miller for a 2 and a 3. Troy Hill for a 5. Kevin Dotson and a 5 and 6 for a 5 and 4. So I think we can say that we got really good value in K-Dot and Austin Corbett. I think that those guys and what they brought to this team are those trades. Austin Corbett for a 5, we absolutely overplayed a 5. Like, he got more value for us than that. Kevin Dotson, back on second contract, dude. He's back around, making good money now, and he's awesome at right guard. So we do have some good value there, but ultimately, a lot of overpaying in this list. A lot of overpaying in this list to bring guys in. And I think that we can forgive some of the 2021 trades. Stafford, toss that one out. Both teams won that trade, okay? Jared Goff fits better in Detroit. Matthew Stafford won a ring in LA. That both works out. Sony Michel, Von Miller, get them out of here. Those are exceptions to this because the Rams were going for it at that time, all right? Rams were going for it. So, where's this put us now? I think that, simply put, when the Rams make a trade, the history tells us that the other team got the better deal. Since returning to Los Angeles, almost all trades, unless they're just picks, if there's players involved, on paper, value-wise, it always tends to look, most of the time at least, that the other team got the better deal than the Rams. But here's what I know. These trades date back to after the Rams lost their Super Bowl to the Patriots. And since then, the Rams have been back to the playoffs more times than they had missed, and they've won a Super Bowl. Do the Rams get wrecked in trades sometimes? Yeah, they do. But they've also built a pretty damn good football team. And I will say that since the arrival of Sean McVay, 2017, I think that this is the longest stretch that the Rams have been relevant, probably in their history. If I had to pick one thing, because no team is great at everything, it doesn't exist. But if I had to pick one thing to be bad at, it's probably trades, dude. This is the NFL. We just don't see trades that often. In fact, whenever there's a trade, it is big news, even when that is a backup player, because that's how little they happen. If we got to be bad at one thing, I would choose trades over anything else, like contract structures, like some teams are bad at, drafting, like some teams are bad at, developing players and coaches, that some teams are bad at, offensive ingenuity, some teams just don't get it. Could be worse. Could be worse. In fact, it has been worse. Almost all the time, it's been worse. So, I say all that to say this, man. I kind of echo a little bit of what Andrew Whitworth took to X to kind of pass along. This team knows what they're doing. And if Sean McVay, who I don't think lies to us, I do think that his truth is chosen specifically. And typically we know more from the words that Sean McVay doesn't say than the words that he does say. But I will echo what Andrew Whitworth said on X, and I kind of summarize this because I don't really read through too much of that. There was some online drama that I just don't like to get into. But ultimately, this team knows what they're doing. This is a damn good football team. We're entering a season where the Rams are going to be fighting for the division and possibly a Super Bowl. Around the NFL, we also know that if you look at the top 5 teams that pay linebackers, the top 5 salaries for linebackers and their teams, those aren't playoff teams. Where at the bottom of that, the cheapest linebacker groups include the Chiefs, the Bills, like there's some very, very good teams. Rams 25th on that list. Playoff team, Super Bowl caliber team. So, this team lost a player that was a captain, record breaker last year, motivator, leader of this team. But I think I'm sitting here today after this trade has happened with the depth that the Rams have at this position, with guys who both have experience and have some very exciting youthful energy in this grouping. I'm not sure that Sean McVay is lying. I'm not sure that we really got that much worse, if at all. Because the way that this is all kind of coming out, some of the stuff that Whitworth was saying, some of the stuff that McVay said, kind of seems to me like we got out at the right time on Ernest Jones. Time will tell, but maybe that injury is worse than we thought. Maybe there's some other motivational things that are going on behind closed doors that we don't have access to that are worse than we thought. I think I stand by the Rams on this one, guys. I think I stand by the Rams on this one. If we got to be bad at trades and nothing else, I'm kind of here for it. We'll take a quick...